Alright, music off.
We got good power out, good steering on the transmitters. 218's looking good. Pirate skull cap's still on. Radar's good. Looks like we got a good jet. We just gotta make sure we can get gas. Okay. What? Signature move? We talked about this. I said I wasn't gonna do it. They keep asking about it in the comments. Is the camera off? Fine. Just one. Signature move. Let me know when the camera's back. It's on now. What was it on? Let's just get on with the jam. We're going to talk about this on deck. Welcome aboard. Today we're overhead the northern Arabian Gulf, about 85 miles to the southeast of Kuwait City, flowing northwest bound towards Kuwait, Iraq, and eventually the Iraq-Syria border. We're part of a 5-ship formation that launched from the USS Theodore Roosevelt about 45 minutes ago, and all 5 Air Wing aircraft have joined on a KC-10 extender that you can see off my right wing for a drag. There are 2 FA-18s off my left wing, outside of the camera field of view, on a mission of DCA, or defensive counter-air. And off the tanker's right wing, also just outside of the camera's field of view, are 2 additional FA-18s from the Air Wing that are currently cycling behind the tanker, verifying both that they can get gas and that the tanker can give gas. Once their checks are complete, we'll cycle the remaining 3 aircraft behind the tanker, and once we know that all 5 Air Wing aircraft are up and can get gas, we'll direct the airborne spares behind us to detach and return to Mom at the end of this cycle. As we head northeast, we'll overfly Kuwait City and then Kuwait Bay. We'll continue north and cross the Kuwait-Iraq border, where we'll overfly Al Nazira, and then follow the Euphrates River up towards central Iraq, just west of Baghdad. At this point, we'll get another full bag of gas from the KC-10, and the 2 formations of FA-18s from the Air Wing will detach from the tanker to their respective AORs, and I'll continue further north near Al-Qaim, which is where the Euphrates River intercepts the Syria-Iraq border. Today our mission is electronic support, which is to follow operational directives to rapidly detect, intercept, identify, and track electromagnetic energy sources, and also to recognize threats, collect targeting and signaling intelligence data, and use that information to inform future operational planning. But before we do any of that, we've got to get a little bit of gas. So hang on, let me talk you through it. Alright, it looks like the 2 F-18s off the tanker's right wing are done with their systems checks, and now it's our turn. The tanker's in a right-hand turn, and the boomer operators cleared us to pre-contact, so we're going to drift aft and behind the tanker into a good position. Just like with other hose and drogue configurations, pre-contact for this receiver is about 10 to 15 feet behind the drogue, with my probe aligned both horizontally and vertically with the drogue. Once cleared for contact, we're going to overtake the drogue with a closure speed of about 2 to 3 knots, trying to get in a good spot. Once we get there, not quite right, I'm going to back out a little bit, take a breath, wiggle my fingers and my toes. Looks like the tanker's rolling out. Okay, let's get into a good position. There it is, pre-contact, push it up. Boom, contact, good to go. The hose in the KC-10 is 80 feet long, of which 70 feet trails from the tunnel, and the hose is marked by a series of 1 foot and 2 foot wide white bands. The ideal refueling position for the KC-10 is reached when the receiver pulls forward behind the extender about 20 feet, which is indicated by the second of the 2 foot white bands on the hose. When in contact, the receiver has a forward and aft range movement of about 35 feet, in which fuel will continue to flow. Additionally, the receiver needs to be careful to maintain the hose aligned with the tanker's tunnel, which as you can see is offset about 4 feet to the right of the extender center line, so that we avoid any kind of lateral loads on the receiver's probe. Now that the jet's in a good spot, we're all trimmed up and we're good to go, let's take a minute and let me tell you a little about the KC-10 extender. The KC-10 extender was based on the McDonnell Douglas DC-10 airliner, which first entered commercial service in 1971. Shortly thereafter, McDonnell Douglas began working on a military version of the airliner for use by the United States Air Force. The Air Force formally selected the MD-10, which is what they called it at the time, in 1977 to supplement the aging and antiquated KC-135 Stratotanker after the Vietnam War. Despite sharing around 88% of the components with the commercial version, the KC-10 extender has several major modifications to the airframe that include an upgraded avionics suite satellite communications, an air-to-air refueling mechanism, and most importantly, the addition of 6 extra fuel tanks. As a result, the KC-10 can carry more than 356,000 pounds of fuel, which is nearly twice as much as a KC-135 and 10 times as much as a Growler, with 3 external fuel tanks installed. The KC-10 can refuel other aircraft using a refueling boom or hose and drogue system. During boom operations, fuel transfer rates can go up to about 1,100 gallons or 4,180 liters for the UK folk per minute. Fuel is transferred significantly slower, however, in the hose and drogue configuration at just around 470 gallons or 1,700 liters of fuel per minute. Let's do some quick math. 1 gallon is equivalent to 8 pints, so 470 gallons a minute is equivalent to 3,760 pints of gas per minute delivered to the Growler. Now that's a lot of gas. The United States Air Force currently owns 59 KC-10 extenders, with about 56 that are still airworthy. Unfortunately, the United States Air Force has begun gradually retiring these airframes from active service to make way for the new KC-46 Pegasus that has been plagued with mechanical and electrical problems. Currently, the Finney, or the final flight for the KC-10 extender, is scheduled for September of 2024. Alright, our package check is complete. We've requested disconnect, and we're going to slide aft of the tanker. As I look left, sun's a little bit of a factor, to break out those 2 F-A-18s, and I'm going to slide to the outside of the formation on the left-hand side. Signature move. Alright. Well, that was about 4,000 pounds of gas over 3 minutes. I can say that over my many years in the Navy, I've taken hundreds of thousands of pounds of fuel from this big sexy beast, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. We're going to miss you, big fella. Cheers. Now that we know we can get gas, it's time for us to get our tactical fangs out as we proceed towards Iraq. There are troops on the ground that have asked for our help, and I'm happy to be here to give it to them. Fly Navy. On this Memorial Day weekend, I'd like to take a moment to recognize the fans of this channel, their families, and their loved ones that have served our country, either as uniformed service members or as first responders, serving a good greater than themselves. I specifically would like to pause and remember those who willingly gave the ultimate sacrifice so that others may live. Rest assured, soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, and coasties, as well as first responders, that you stand relieved. We now stand the watch, and you will live forever young in our hearts. Thank you for your service, and God bless. Welcome aboard Growler Gems.